But moving forward, I left, um, and kind of, I took a break from church. I took a good year and some change off of church. I really did, and I ended up landing in 2011. Ended up landing at Church for All Nations in Colorado Springs. And at first, I was just kind of like a fill-in, what I'm saying? They would just have me just come through and fill in, on the drums, maybe sing every once in a while, but mostly mostly fill in. And it was really interesting because I was in this church. I thought I had found a new community. I thought I had found a new home, essentially. I thought I found safety. That's what I thought. And playing with lights. And to find out later, a lot of stuff that was going on, y'all. I mean, there was a gay witch hunt after me by a dude who was just jealous as fuck. Like, Mike, you were just jealous as fuck, bro. And I knew who it was. I didn't say nothing to him, but I knew who it was. You know what I'm saying? I was at Church for All Nations Southwest. I became one of the leaders. Eventually I became the worship leader for a while. And there was this weirdo gay witch hunt. And instead of correcting, they just let this dude do it. Like, bro. Sorry, I gotta clean my glasses, but bro, why are you so concerned with me? Like, what'd I do to you? Well, what Dom do to him? Dom basically took the spot that he believed belonged to him. Yeah, he believed that he was supposed to be the worship leader. He thought he was the guy. He thought he was the dude. And then come to find out, he didn't even have the chops to be that. He didn't. I did, though. I did. He didn't. He didn't have those chops. It wasn't his time, family. It wasn't. And instead of just accepting that and moving forward, he chose to go on a full witch hunt after me. And when he did, things started to kind of get ugly. Because it was like, why y'all so worried about me? Well, if you're gay, you can't be a worship leader. Well, this dude's over here trying to intentionally start a whole witch hunt for gay people in the church. That's wrong. Because that shouldn't be happening. How can you minister to someone when you are literally trying to attack them from every angle? How can you minister to someone like that? You can't. So, what do? You lie. Yep. In order to keep my position in the church, I literally lied. Yep, I did. I'm not lying to y'all. I lied. Now, mind you, being gay isn't who I am, but I lied to keep my position in the church. I did. And I shouldn't have done that. I should not have. Because the thing is, though, we were on an upward projection. We were doing great. The music was popping. Our looks were popping. We did a Christmas service that was jumping. Everything was going good. People were flocking to the church because of the music. Like, what was wrong? What was so wrong about what we were doing? Well, you're living a gay lifestyle. And there's a few dudes in church that I know of that's cheating on their wives, but we don't say nothing. We know nothing. You know what I'm saying? We don't say nothing about that. We don't talk about ruin. No. Sorry, I got to keep adjusting my booty. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro. So you're on a full gay witch hunt on me. All because you felt like you deserved that spot. Nah, Mikey. Sorry, bro. That spot was never yours. God did not place you in that spot. God placed me in that spot for a reason. And yeah, would I still be there now? No. Because there was a time shortly after all of that, there was a time where a little bit of racism was shown. Just a little bit. And what do I mean by that? I mean that myself and a few others were pulled into pastor's office, and he said that we received a complaint. Now, what? What is a complaint, you may ask? Well, the music is too aggressive. I'm gonna let that sit. I'm just gonna let that sit for a second. Hold on. Let that sit. Let it sit for a second. I'm just gonna clean the lens. Yeah. Let that sit. Let it sit. Let it sit for a second. Yeah. We were told that the music was too aggressive because this lady wanted her son and daughter-in-law, I don't know where they would come from the East Coast. She wanted them to visit the church, but the music was too aggressive, aka black. Because let's just be real, we were doing songs like "This Is the Day" by Fred Hammond, his remix. We was doing Kirk Franklin. We were still doing Planet Shakers. We were still doing Hillsong. We were still doing all the shit that y'all white people like. We were still doing it. It just wasn't the main feature, but we was doing it. And she had an issue, and so he was kind of like, well, would you mind kind of changing up the music? And I'm like, change up the music? It's popping. People love it. People literally every single Sunday, when I tell you, people were literally every single Sunday lined up in the front, ready to dance, ready to sing. They was ready every single Sunday. We literally went from attendance being down to that sanctuary being full almost every single Sunday. Bro. But the music is too aggressive, aka block. Yeah. And the thing is, we do a mix. We do a little bit everything. And so we're like, all right, cool. So we started kind of pulling it back a bit. And over time, things just started kind of going downhill. Things did. Things started going downhill, fam. And when I say start going downhill, I mean that after that, I didn't know what direction they wanted to go in. The direction wasn't clear anymore. Understand? The direction just wasn't clear. The direction to me was not clear. Now, understand, Pastor Daniel Spangler let me know, and he used these words. He said, you have to understand the culture of a church. Now, I didn't get that until years later. But at the time, I was like, y'all understand? I was like, really, bro? You know? But I mean, now I get it. But at the time, I was like, nah, man. Like, praising the Lord is the culture. And no, that wasn't the only culture. That wasn't the only part of it. And the thing about it is, there are churches who honestly think you can pick and choose how you want to worship the Lord, and actually you can't. The Bible actually gives us instructions. David gives us instructions in the book of Psalms. Read the entire book of Psalms. You'll know I'm not lying. But that situation happened. So I just told Pastor Daniel, I said, yo, I just hit him up one day, said, hey, I told him I'm still trying to figure things out. I'm getting the music together. I'm trying to figure things out. I just need prayer. And I'm trying to pray. I'm trying to, things like that. Literally went back to the website like a day or two later after that Sunday. Literally, y'all, I was kicked out of the system. No shit. No shit, y'all. I was kicked out of the system. I legit was kicked out. I couldn't log in. Shit you not. Family, I could not log in. So I panicked. I was texting, the secretary. I was texting whoever. And I was like, yo, I can't get in to upload the music because I think I got it. I was like, yo, I think I got it. And I couldn't do shit. So I ended up texting Pastor. No one would answer me, by the way. Nobody would answer me. No one would answer me. And so I ended up texting Pastor Daniel. I was like, yo, I said, Pastor Daniel, like, hey, I can't get into the computers. I can't get into the system to upload music. Like, I think I got it. And he's like, well, you said you need time to pray and figure things out. So we're giving you that time. I literally, in that moment, was excommunicated from Church for All Nations, Southwest Campus. That very moment, I was literally excommunicated. Yep. And to this day, I don't talk to anybody really. Shout out to the praise team, who helped, who tried to hold me down during that time. Shout out to y'all. But that was during the time also that my grandmother had a massive stroke. So my grandmother has a massive stroke. About a month later, I end up being excommunicated from Church for All Nations. What the fuck? But that was a hard time. That was 2016. That was a hard time. Oh my God, that was so hard because it was just crazy how life was working that year. Like I said, my grandmother had a massive stroke. I'm trying to work, put money in my pocket, the whole nine. It was hard. It was hard to try to take care of her too. And I know she wanted me to kind of like quit my job or whatever and take care of her, but I couldn't. So, shout out to Miss Lauren, Auntie Biscuit. May she rest in peace. Shout out to her. Shout out to Auntie Wanda, Auntie Gail. Shout out to you for helping to take care of her. They did. They came to the house. They would alternate, because they was busy too. So they would alternate, come by the house, help her. Of course, my grandmother was, like, I don't want to be told what to do. That's her. If you know Miss Vera Jackson, if you know Miss Vera Jackson, yeah. But she was just as stubborn as me. And we didn't know at first that she was going to pull through, but she did. And unfortunately, her health began to decline from there. But we ended up moving her to a facility in Arizona where my grandfather was, so that they can take better care of her. One of the top facilities for strokes in the nation. She got in. I chose not to leave. I stayed in the house. And that is where my bros, Jeremy and Keith Patterson, and their dad really came into play. Because Jeremy started playing for a church. I forgot the name of the church, but it was right down the street from where I lived. It wasn't too far. And, he started doing the ministry and everything. And he one day just asked me to come through. Can you come and help? And of course, I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm not doing nothing. So went through. We were there for a little bit of time. Me, Jeremy, and Keith. And although we didn't agree on everything, you could tell there was love. There was a brotherly love there, and we worked really well together. And during that time, it was crazy. My emotions was crazy. Life was crazy. I was working, trying to, get my footing, and it was just hard. I don't know how else to put it, y'all. It was hard, but got through it. Keith and Jeremy ended up leaving Colorado. I stayed. And to be perfectly honest, I haven't joined the church since. Well, I did for a hot minute. I'll tell you all about that. But I really didn't join. I didn't join this church. I actually just started. I took a break and then I started going again. And I just have to say, big shout out to Kim, Kalela, for introducing me at the time to Harvest Church in Denver. I needed it. Bishop Kevin Foreman. I needed that at that time. I needed it because I still was hurting from what happened at CFAN. I was still going through the motions of my grandmother, her ending up having to leave because of her health. It was just a lot. It was a lot. And I could sit here and I could tell y'all every little if I could tell y'all every little detail, we'd probably be here for like 10 hours if I told you every little detail of my life. But I was hurt. I left the Gospel Music Workshop of America choir here in Colorado Springs. I left the Celebration Multicultural Ensemble. I left them. I left everything. I dropped everything and I did not go to church for a whole 2 years. And then my sisters in Christ, Kim and Kalela, they introduced me to Harvest Church. And I started going and I started seeing the blessings from that ministry unfold in my life. And I stuck with that ministry up until 2022. I did. I stuck up from 2019 to 2022. But I never actually joined. And the reason being is because God did not tell me to join, if that makes sense. God did not tell me to join. But God allowed me to go and receive the teachings of Bishop Kevin Foreman. And I needed that. I needed that at the time, bro. I needed that. But I still had a lot of personal issues. I still had a lot going on. I mean, those of you that know me know I've been doing music since 2009 as a solo act. And my first mixtape came out 2009, second mixtape 2012. No, I'm sorry, 2010. And then I just kept rolling. I mean, and this is, I talk about my music a lot, but this is not about my music. I was bullied in school for being raised by my grandparents. I was bullied in school, in elementary and middle school. Do y'all not know how that hurts? Being told by other kids, you don't know your mom, you don't know your mom. Like, do you know how fucking hard that is to hear? When you already feel like your mom doesn't fucking love you, to hear that, shit's hard. You don't have a relationship with your family because you've distanced yourself. And the reason is because you knew that you were different. And your difference is what caused you to not want to associate anymore. Because you don't think that there's anyone in your family that will understand. And now I see queer kids coming out my family, bro. I see them now. And I've faced a lot of adversity. Excuse me. And I know this is technically supposed to be a tell-all, but if you get nothing else out of this video, if you get nothing else, just know you can make it. Just know that I have faced a lot of things in my lifetime. I was in an abusive relationship when I was in high school with a guy named Steven. I jokingly say this a lot. When I was a teenager, I was a hoe. I jokingly say that. Well, let's just be real. As a teen, I was using sex as a way of escape. I loved God. I loved going to church. I loved doing church things. I loved singing. I loved playing. I loved singing in choir in school. I loved being in the orchestra. But I was still dying on the inside. Still wondering if my parents ever loved me. Still wondering if I would ever actually truly be loved in the way that I wanted. Still wondering. Like I said, Steven was low-key abusive. If I didn't give him what he wanted, he would cuss, he would yell. He never hit me. He never did. Never did. But he thought he could bully me into getting whatever he wanted. And then accused me of cheating one day. And then come to find out, he was the cheater. He was the big fat ass cheater. Over here having threesomes with with older dudes. Yeah, I saw it in his phone one day. The first boy I've ever loved, his name was Zachary Ireland. And man, as kids, we were thick as thieves, bro. We were. I loved that boy. And even when we grew up, see, the thing about it, Zachary was one of those guys that was like in denial about his sexuality. So like he would go fuck around with dudes and then come and then leave and be like, no, I'm not into that. I'm only into girls. Girls is my thing, but then go back and suck a dick. Like that was Zach. That was Zach. And it really bothered me, to the point where he would I mean, he would do shit like he would even text my grandmother and be like, Dominique's trying to have sex with me and I don't want him. But then after he texts her that bullshit, the next day send me nude pictures. How the fuck you gonna tell somebody that I'm over here harassing you, trying to sleep with you, when the text thread is literally you and me both, saying the same thing? But then you go to that person and say that I'm trying to fucking harass you and things, and then you come back to me, send me naked pics. That shit don't make sense, you know? But I loved him because we just had a connection. We had a connection at one point. And then where the connection left was when he started asking me for money. Talking about, oh, can you pay for my grandma's what was it? Fucking nursing home bill. Motherfucker, what? You want me to pay for something I have no responsibility nor connection to? Come on, fam. And then I remember one day I saw Zach again. The last time I ever saw him was at a Pleasures in Colorado Springs. For those of you that know what it is, you know. I saw him there purchasing lube with another guy. And then they went to the back room and I saw him give the dude head. But he's not gay. Man, when I tell you, I've seen deacons in church from churches at Pleasures. I've seen church members, men at Pleasures, fucking other dudes in the back. I've seen it. I've been hit on by many, many men in church, even outside of church. But see, there was a list of guys that I can say showed me love, but wasn't prepared to be what I needed them to be at the time. There's Greg, Rodney, Jackie, Steven, of course, Zach, of course. And the rest, it's whatever. But those are the main ones. Those are the key main guys. And they just weren't ready at the time for what I needed them to be. And that's okay. Because we all have to grow up at some point. But again, like I said, I jokingly say I was a hoe when I was a teenager. No, I really was. I really was. I was doing things I had no business doing. I was going places I had no business going with men that I didn't know or didn't really care for. Oh, there was another guy named Mike who was super nice to me, but he was much older, and it was mostly just a mutual sexual relationship. But I've never really had a good relationship with men, whether it be romantic, platonic, whatever. I've never really had a good relationship with men. Never really have. And it sucks. It really does suck. Because I think not being able to know my dad and still dealing with that hurt on the inside really, really clouded my judgment when it came to dating and when it came to having just friendships and things like that with other men. And another thing is I can't really be friends with gay dudes a lot because a lot of them want sex. And it's like, bro, like, I just want to be friends. Like, there are moments where I just want to be friends and they're like, nah, you're going to suck this dick. This is what it is. And it's like, nah, fam, I don't want that. I don't want that. I've been through a lot in my life. I have. There was a time where I even, fell, I guess you could say, in love with straight dudes. There was. All because they were nice to me. But, things happen, and fast forward to 2021, the hardest year of my life. I was getting ready to put out my second album, 30. You can go check it out. And on May 9th, Mother's Day, I lost my mom. I lost my grandmother on Mother's Day. Yep. I was at work, got a text from Grandpa saying, hey, found Ma not breathing. She wasn't responding to me. So I called 911. They working on her now. And then I get a text sometime later from someone who I just don't fuck with in my family saying that she had passed away. I lost my best friend. Having gained someone that was awesome, but I lost. But at the same time, I don't look at it no longer as a loss. Because when God set her free, he set me free. Because I was then able to live. I became free to live. I became free to run. I became free to create. I became free. I did. But it came at a loss. And that sucks. But I didn't have time to grieve. Because shortly after we buried her, I had to go home. And I had to celebrate my second album release at home. And as much as I wanted to celebrate it, I couldn't celebrate shit. I couldn't truly celebrate that moment. Now, I will say the good part, though, is that my grandmother got to hear some of it before she passed. She got to hear she got to hear my first album. She got to hear this album a little bit, and she liked it. I just hate that she unfortunately passed and that she won't get to hear it. She won't get to hear what's next. She didn't get to hear all the wonderful music I've made since, but I know she still checks up on me. I know. I know her. But that was a hard year because even with her passing, I still felt so distant from my family. Even with her passing, Michelle, my birth mom, really didn't reach out to be a mom. The moment I needed a mom, the moment I needed a parent, she wasn't there for me. And that was the moment that I said to myself, I'm going to leave my non-existent relationship with my mother where it is. I don't have a relationship with her. She does not have a relationship with me. And I am at peace with that. I had to. I had no other choice. I even made peace with not really having a relationship with the rest of my family that same year. But it was hard having to do all those shows, having to do all the promo and everything. And you're one of the people that loved you unconditionally passed and you're still grieving. and you don't really have time to really process the grieving process. You are just on go mode. Imagine how that feels, y'all. That same year, lost more family, lost people, who were fantastic, lost people not just in death, but lost people like leaving my life. It was a rough year. But that was the year I started to take my music more seriously. That was